Hi, and welcome to the Heroes of Marketing Cloud, the podcast where I interview experts and leaders in Marketing Cloud, whether in Salesforce or beyond. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Jurgen Bult, who, aside from being a great customer, is also the CRM lead for EMEA at Dyson. With over 10 years of experience in D2C CRM strategy, customer experience, and digital marketing, together with Jurgen, we do a deep dive into Martech, the newest trends, the challenges that you can face, how to overcome them, and also what are some specific trends for consumer goods. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Jurgen, thank you for participating in this.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, Anthony.
So you have been immersed as a CRM leader in global brands like Philips and Dyson for a decade. Can you share your career journey and how you find your way into the role of CRM lead for EMEA for Dyson?
I think I need to extend a bit on this. We need to jump back, I think 15 years ago, when I started in my first marketing role for a big cinema chain in the Netherlands called Pathé Cinemas. This is also the time when I started in marketing, general marketing, and it was like, all the stuff around marketing, all around marketing. And we were looking at one of the activities that I picked up there, or I was responsible for, was sending out newsletters to the small base that we had at the time. We used a really small ESP supplier. We used manual imports to get the audiences in. We also got some local requests from the cinemas. So there were, I think at the time there were 12 or 13 cinemas in the Netherlands. So we had some first personalization in, but it was like also my first discovery in CRM, or you couldn't even call it CRM, it's more newsletters, sending out emails, working with HTML and some of the data there. Around this time, we also started with Pathé opening up online ticket sales, which also meant that we got more data. There was also a subscription card, so you could visit unlimited cinema using the card. That also got a load of data into the place or into our system. So if you look at the challenge that we had then is that we needed to upgrade our tooling. So that was also the first time we were looking into marketing automation tooling. My first step, I think the RFP was won by Selligent. That was the program that we implemented. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
I remember.
I was part of the project team rolling this out with IT, marketing. There was several people involved, but it was really, everything was new and it was opening up a whole new world for me. And it was also a bit of a start of my passion for CRM. It was like a ground-up implementation that we needed to do. We accelerated. 5 years later, we had 1 million, I think, opt-in, so we grew the database a lot. We were not just the weird guys in the back room anymore doing IT or something with these toolings that we implemented, but suddenly we were part of business. We actually were driving value. And for me, this was really a golden age of finding out, trying out a lot of stuff, working with data, getting really cool campaigns where data fits the right experience and personalization, and you really get value out of it as well. So a lot of discovery. So that was like my first step in CRM, working with Pathé Cinemas. Then I made a career switch into Philips. And there I was responsible CRM manager for the Benelux market. And this was a different kind of working because the business there is focusing on consumer electronics, home appliances, where the replacement cycle is different than movie tickets, right? So that's something you can buy once or twice a month, and home appliance you only replace every 3 years or so. So it needed a different kind of tactics there, but also really fun. More focus on product registration, getting the right data in, and building out the experience behind the onboarding of the product. So if they register the product, what happens after? And there, eventually, we worked with Eloqua, so Oracle Marketing Cloud, and eventually with the Benelux, we were the home market, but also one of the more mature markets in CRM. I started with the Marketing Cloud project, so we wanted to step up our game in CRM, and of course, the cloud was a thing. And we need a more wider tool that could set us into personalization, better data integration, and all the functionality that Salesforce at the time gave. But also Salesforce was a much more user-friendly tool that we saw. So we wanted to make sure that what we used there was also something a marketer could use. And with the setup, I'm not necessarily saying that the tool of Eloqua or Oracle Marketing Cloud is not user-friendly, but I think it's a bit more developer-focused. Yeah, the setup within Philips was also a bit more developer-focused. So it also was a reset for our ways of working. So I continued with the Salesforce project and continued to grow my role. Eventually, I became CRM manager or CRM lead for the Europe region. And I was responsible for rolling out Marketing Cloud in more markets. So from the Benelux, we were the lead market to deploy. So being there for journey design, help design the operating model and the infrastructure that we needed to set this up. And then in Europe, I continued to do this. And then after Europe, I continued to tag along with the move with the furniture of the Salesforce Marketing Cloud project into the global team. And I started to be working in the platform team as an extension of the product owner, where I would detail out, gather requirements and detail out user stories, and train and onboard new markets in the features and the new things that we developed for Marketing Cloud. So that's a bit of a short story from before. And then last year I joined Dyson, and I've been working there for a year now. And yeah, I think Dyson is also a completely different company. It's a bit younger, a bit more dynamic if you look at that way. I really like with Dyson the premium experience that they built, and every company does it different. So every company has some challenges that were different. I also really like this challenge, and I really like to work for the Dyson brand as well. So that's kind of like my history from where I came, and then now I'm acting as a CRM lead role for the EMEA region for Dyson.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Jurgen. It's quite a bit of career growth, and it's nice to hear that trajectory. So you've led multiple implementations to implement Salesforce Marketing Cloud, often from the ground up. What would you say were the top 3 challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, so with any implementation, I would say that it's the involvement. So you need to make sure you have the right teams involved, cross-functional. So that's you need to make sure that you have sponsorship from the leadership team. You need to have IT people in, and you need to have the right business people in, and not just the people who will work in the tools, but also the people who they report to, in order to make sure that you can remove the right blockers if needed. So you need to identify the right stakeholders, and also make sure that the people are trained properly. So skill sets, understanding the data, having a bigger understanding of where we want to move, and what something like Marketing Cloud does is really important. So it's not just on in a waterfall project methodology rollout this new tool, but there's a lot more to it. It's not just IT development, but it also comes with a capability, operating model, and people who need to work in it. And it's like a continuous project, of course. So you need to make sure that you maintain it as well. That's one of the things, and how do you? I think that the challenge there is that people often forget that to include all the teams there. So make sure you do the proper preparation and identifying all the things that need to be in for the project. And the other thing, the challenge is, and I think that's really important as well, make sure that you focus on, let's call it end user development. So often these projects are led by IT teams. So it's another IT team, a project that's developed into, or it's steered by the IT teams, and they use the methodology they've used more often. So you find that the solutions that they provide are not necessarily the best solutions if you're going to use in the tool. So make sure that the requirements are coming from the end users that are actually working in the tools, and then solution from that, rather than the other way around.
Right. And those challenges are very familiar to me too.
Yeah.
And I can recognize a lot of that. If you could time travel and go meet Jurgen from a couple of years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say spend more time in the tools, in the grind, to say so, in terms of sending out campaigns, but also digging through the data, finding opportunities, new features. Have I used all modules? What's this new thing that's come? Rather than the time you spend in a lot of bigger meetings, for example. Of course, my role has evolved from being more operationally into more strategic setup. I often find myself still doing campaigns just to make sure that I understand how it works and how I can help the people who work in it to better support them in the work. Yeah.
Very recognizable. Again, it's easy to get drowned in meetings, but getting hands-on with the technology and staying close to that to really understand what's going on, it's so true. So if you would now look forward and you think about your role of CRM, your role, but also the role of CRM evolving in the next 2 to 3 years, how do you think that would evolve? And also, how would that relate to, as a partner to both strategic marketing, because you just mentioned that your role has become a little bit more strategic.
Yeah.
How do you think about that?
Yeah, so of course the big thing now is AI, and all the steps that are all the companies are working and focusing on it. Have you seen the movie Her? Do you know it?
I actually have not seen it yet.
Okay,
No.
okay. I think it's already 10 years ago, but it's about a movie at the time, near future, where there's everybody has their own personal companion or AI companion that helps you. So it's like your agent that you have. Let's say they receive notifications, SMS or emails, and they say, okay, these are the top 5 ones I think are important to you based on the data that they have from the user. I think this is not so near future anymore, because actually this is reality already. If you see what Salesforce is now bringing with Agentforce or some of the other software suppliers. What I think, looking at that, is that probably CRM will be evolving into being more demand-based rather than push marketing, or more how do you call it, sending out messages in batches. It's more on-demand experience that you're going to bring, so you need to make sure that you connect it to right places, but also these experiences are available and can be tailored at the time it's requested by the user, so they can tie into these interfaces of AI. And I'm not saying we're fully into there. I think we're all in discovery mode, but I think the role of CRM marketing in general will be really different. Both from business side, we are using AI, but also the consumer will be using AI. So basically, we'll be creating AI messaging, and it will be read by an AI and summarized. So basically, it's just AI versus AI. So we need to be smarter, and we need to make sure that maybe only the first results. We already see that, of course, with voice search, that only the first search results are from something, or the first query and the answer that is given is the right one. So you need to make sure that you are the right answer in that case. If something is questioned around, hey, I want to buy this product, make sure that your brand is the first one there. Yeah.
And if you would look specifically at consumer goods, that's an industry that you have quite a bit of affinity with. How do you think that Martech will evolve, and what trends do you see emerging?
In general, how I see Martech evolving is that there will be more aggregation, right? So the bigger players are getting bigger and bigger. They're buying up all the smaller players, and I think looking at the recent changes, this will not change. So there will be, I think, really big players, and you need to choose which software supplier you're going to use, and then you're going to take a lot of their Martech stack, because that's just the best integration and ways of working there. So that's in general. If you look at like so home appliances, let's say that the trend is also on connectivity. So you see more connected products. So it's also extending the number of touch points that you have with the customer that you can use also for your automation. For example, your toothbrush can recognize your brushing patterns. And you could share that with your dentist so they can recommend you maybe, hey, these are the things you need to change, or maybe you need to use a different brush head. Or it could, or you could say that we could recommend from a marketing point of view a future toothbrush or a better toothbrush or a brush head or accessories that they can use in that case.
But then the part in AI where you're the most excited about, or are there other advances in AI that you think are also exciting?
Yes, so I think for AI, and there's a lot of talk about it, and everybody is it's the buzzword, right? AI at the moment. I think AI, the parts where I'm most excited about is where everything comes together. So I think the scenarios that you've seen from the pioneering companies in AI, they have also made sure that they have the data available in the right way. It's 360 available, made to the AI. And this is also a step you need to take first before you can really advance in that part. But when everything comes together, I think AI can be a true companion in marketing. And you could think of, if it's also, if you look at AI prediction, you could think of anything you do in your marketing automation or your ad stack, your Martech stack, could be simulated by the AI with fake records, fake owners, and they could predict the behavior that will come from that. So the AI could already help you finding out different scenarios and what would be the best tactics and assets or segmentation you need to use. So that's why I'm really excited where AI can really be that companion to drive that. Personally, if I look at AI, I'm also really excited about the stuff where the simple stuff. So where AI just in my daily tasks makes it easier. So using it for copywriting, coding, there's already a lot of features, and I know that's just really simple to set up, and there's more like the beginning age of AI, but they are really helping me to reduce the number of hours I need to spend on some repetitive tasks. So.
It's great. I've also
Yeah.
started using it on a daily basis. It's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. If we circle back to Salesforce Marketing Cloud specifically, Jurgen, what do you believe are the most underutilized capabilities in the Marketing Cloud that you would say could benefit large enterprises?
Yeah, so underutilized. I don't know, of course, for every company what they use, but what I find myself is that I'm also a big fan of out of the box. A lot of companies build custom layers on top of interface that are already available because it needs to fit the brand or the certain expectations. But that does mean that if something new is rolled out or a capability or feature, it's not necessarily already available out of the box because you first need to fit it to your custom layer that you already built. So that's one thing in terms of what's underutilized is that sometimes just using out of the box, I think, really helps you. And yeah, what I've found lately is, for example, the normal within let's say Marketing Cloud, because I use that tool a lot. The Einstein features, so like STO, content insights, or content testing, and the frequency testing. The engagement measuring, those things. And things in the app exchange, so like Deselect, and a lead capture, query studio. You have a lot of different tools, I think, that are great and should be, I think, a standard addition to Marketing Cloud, but that can help you as well and are underutilized because I'm not sure if everybody is aware of these features.
That's awesome. So as a Deselect customer, you've had the ability to optimize campaigns with Deselect segments specifically. Can you share with our audience the pain that you initially experienced and what led you to choose this?
Yes, and I think with Deselect before, well, in the current way of working, we started already with Deselect in Dyson, but before, if you wouldn't have Deselect, you need to do a number of steps before you can make your selection, of course. So you would need to build filters, but if it's get a little bit of advanced, you already need to build in SQL and have your automations set up, and then you need to build a data extension. So there's a number of steps you need to do. And it makes it also a really tedious process. And I think with Deselect, it brings it all together. And of course, it's like a no-code drag and drop. It's really easy for the people that use it. And that's why I'm also a fan. Plus the animation of the penguin, if you run the previews, right?
Yeah.
But I think so Deselect just really saves you a lot of time, makes you quicker to also find opportunities because you can play around a bit better. And what I also really like about it, if you want to learn the backend, you can always change and see the coding of how it works, which would also help you if you want to put it in your own automation and fonts in there. So that, and from a regional perspective, these selects also help you to standardize certain segmentations and scale it, or have some features enabled. So it allows you some setting up some controls and business rules in order to have the right processes in place for the people that actually work on these segments. So you need to have some compliancy, yeah. So having your consent levels at the right way, or some engagement measure to have those audiences available. But overall, I'm really happy to use Deselect segment. Yeah,
it's great to hear. Is there a campaign or a project where you've used Deselect that you're particularly proud of?
A lot of projects, because Deselect is really at the foundation of everything we do. So every segment that we make goes through Deselect. More advanced things, like when you were going to start with custom fields, split segments, and things like that, it really helps you. Recently, has helped me is rolling out new channels. So that often comes with new segmentation and data available, and new processes as well. So we have a really set place for email. But once you roll out something like WhatsApp, you need new segmentation, but also other data fields available in those data extensions. So rolling out a new channel comes with a new process, and Deselect really helps to also bring that standardized approach. So having standard audiences available where the right data extensions and fields are available that you need for setting up or rolling out a WhatsApp campaign.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I can go another tangent here, because you mentioned that Deselect is now at the foundation of everything. Can you paint us a bit of a picture of what have been your overall objectives? I don't know if there's any ways you measure those, maybe efficiency, maybe something else. But if you can frame for our audience, sort of like, what are your main objectives and how does Deselect play a role in that? Like, why has it become a foundation in a sense?
I think one of the core activities of a CRM manager in a market is sending out campaigns. So that is like the key process. And if you map out the steps that you need to take to send out these campaigns, building the segment, next to it, of course, the assets, the content, and the journey is a pillar. You want to make sure that you also save time, because often with those segmentations you replicate from before. You have your standard filters already applied for your consent levels, or certain regional filters that you have on it. And I think that's where Deselect really it is part of the foundation, that it helps you in that key process of campaign activation. It completely fits in the step-by-step guide to send out the campaign. And you can, I think, like I said before, you can control those steps. So from a region, you're able to standardize it in a way, but still leave freedom for custom segments on top of. And I said that before as well, in terms of personal development or skill growth, Deselect also gives you a good understanding on how you can play around with the data, how it works, what's available. You can work with the filter sets and the views. And I think those are all good tools to help in that.
That's really interesting. The last part that you said, Jurgen, about how Deselect helps with the skill set. It's something that I've heard before. If you don't mind me digging a little deeper there, do you have an example or an anecdote or something to help the audience understand how Deselect can help with better understanding the data?
One thing that I hear often that people use Deselect for the segments, but you also have the recurring segments. So you can see live if anything's updated. So let's say you do a campaign where you need a certain field to be updated. You can also use Deselect to see if the performance of that campaign based on the number of records that were added in that segment or fields if you apply a filter. So I think, sorry, can you rephrase the question?
I think that was an
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
example that you
yeah,
gave. The the question was, you've mentioned that Deselect has helped people understand their data better. That's how I
yeah,
heard that answer.
yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see a little bit how that is. So the example you started giving was something around how segments grow, for instance. I think that's an interesting example. So just to rephrase, look, how has Deselect helped you and your colleagues better understand the data?
Um, yeah, so, and I think there with Deselect, having the drag and drop functionality is also, it gives you the ability to discover also the data.
Mhm.
So if you work in just scripting, you don't it needs to be right or you get an error. And I think with Deselect you can also use preview a lot, so you can play around, see what happens in your segment, or if you work some advanced features like the custom fields, you can see the result from that. So that's why what I mean with the skill set is that
Mhm.
it can really grow someone's skill set, because you can see from the result of the things that you put in. So you can play around with it, see the results, and then iterate and do your next step. And that's why I think it really helps you.
Awesome. Thank you for elaborating on that.
Yeah.
So, Jurgen, what challenge in the Martech space do you believe isn't getting enough attention right now? How do you stay ahead of those trends? And also in your role, how much time is actually spent on researching new tools, tips, and tricks, and deciding what to adopt? Because there's just so much out there.
Yeah, there's a lot. So I don't do enough of this. So in terms of how do I keep ahead of trends, I often listen like to podcasts like this. I visit the events from the different tools or Martech events. And I also catch up with my peers at other companies, just sharing ideas or certain projects or just solutions on how you solve certain problems. And also, I think that's also a personal tip. I opt into every brand. If I buy something, or if I come to a website and I see an opt-in box, I always make sure that I check it, because my Gmail account is always full of spam in the promotion tab. But I
Sure.
use it a lot for a lot of inspiration and to understand how other brands bring their experience. So that's really helpful. But it also shows you if they tried something new. And yeah, I can, of course, if I see something like that, I would like to discover more so that I can find out how they did it and then maybe replicate it. And in terms of more the bigger Martech world, you questioned if what's the challenge that isn't getting enough attention. I think it's the people development part.
Hmm.
So we need to make sure that the people, when we roll out something new in the Martech stack, we need to make sure that also the stuffing is set up and the people are on board at utilizing the new tech. Maybe you need new people, you need to grow the skill set of other people. So you need to make sure they have time for the people to develop in that area or to recruit new expertise in there. And Yeah, and that's really important and often forgotten. So I think you
Mhm.
cannot just roll out the tool and just think, okay, that's it, now it can happen. And it looks really cool when the suppliers present the nice scenarios where everything is perfect. But in reality, you need hands to deliver on that, and that's often something an angle that's forgotten that you need to include and involve the people. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ultimately, it's still people at the center of operating these campaigns. The technology helps a lot. It's a great extension, but it's still people operating it. Um, cool. Well, this was awesome, Jurgen. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk, to feature on this podcast, and also for being a great customer.
Thank you, Anthony.